can hurt me, or the notes in my hand. Please let me sleep, go away.
Destiny's a funny thing. Where are you, Lobster Girl? You told me you'd be here upon my return from Tijuana. You asked me to prove my love. The surgery was a success. My hands transformed into claws. Now I'm just like you. Where are you, Lobster Girl? Where the hell are you? When I first saw her on stage at the Dungeon Club, men were hypnotized. I'm Jake, I muttered. Her beauty was astonishing. Her aura, all-encompassing. Your claws are beautiful. I'm not like the rest of these bums. I could save you. Falling in love is serious business, she whispered. You know nothing of my heart. To love me, you must taste my life, consume my pain. Only then can we have a wedding of our souls. Then she told me about her childhood. Lobster Girl's mother was displayed at the sideshow.
Step right up, honorable gentlemen, and feast your weary eyes on this miracle of womanhood. Half woman, half scorpion. Can you pass this by? $100, lads. Step up and feel the power of the Scorpion Lady.
Several men returned after dark for a taste. Her face blood splattered from their attack. Her mother's screams woke little Lobster Girl, who ran to the trailer to help. She rushed to her mother's side, but was grabbed. Lobster Girl lunged at her attacker with her claws, slicing his face and chest clear to his sinewy tendons. The cops came, took his mangled body away. They struggled to get the handcuffs around the child's blood-slippery claws. She tried to stroke her mother's beaten, catatonic face, but the cops carted Lobster Girl away. For killing the man, the judge sentenced her to 10 years in a juvenile facility. The prison guards boasted about their two famous inmates, a 12-year-old murderer with hands like claws, and a 15-year-old killer named Snow the Albino. The albino had been abandoned at birth, his pink eyes and white skin considered a curse even in this day and age. At age 8, he was rescued from a foster home so full of abuse, poverty, and squalor, he was feral in nature. It didn't seem to shock the social workers when he was found in an animal-like state, tearing at his mangled foster parents' innards. The guards feared Snow, who was left alone to rule the prison. Lobster Girl told me, one night I heard my cell door open. It was Snow, his pink eyes glowing. Don't scream or I'll cut your throat with your own claws. She screamed, but no one came to help. He thrust into her, tearing into her virgin flesh, collapsing in a violent climax. Lobster Girl raised her claws, and during Snow's moment of ecstasy, her pincers popped his pink eyes clear out of their sockets. He collapsed, thrashing at his face in a thick red pool of blood. For blinding Snow, she received 12 months in solitary confinement. For rape, Snow received 3 years in solitary. His hatred for her festered. Snow's baby grew inside her. She screamed for the doctor as she went into labor, but he had gone home. A putrid, metallic-smelling liquid dripped down her legs onto the filthy, moldy concrete. She pushed and strained, screaming from the pain. In the darkness of her cell, she saw her baby's pink eyes. His tiny claws reached for her, and she felt a love she had never felt before. The nurse came the following morning and said, "Don't we all belong to God? We will see he gets a Christian home." She removed the suckling child, his cries echoing through the shadowy stones. Lobster Girl screamed, "Give me back my baby! I swear, my light, I will find you when I get out of here." An eternity passed, and Lobster Girl and Snow were released. Broken and battered, they began their quests. Lobster Girl intent on finding her son, Snow intent on killing them both. Lobster Girl's son was raised by monks. He healed wounded birds and animals, and he was sought by believers everywhere for his gift. I was there when Snow went to the weekly mass, where he'd been told a strange albino boy with small claws for hands would lay them on the weak, the lost, the suffering, the sick. The long line moved slowly. A church worker guided the strange blind man up to the altar. Snow looked giddy as he clearly intended to murder the boy. The child's claw tenderly touched the scar tissue where Snow's eyes used to be, and Snow was taken aback as he felt the connection, repairing the damage. At first a blur, and then Snow's new pink eyes glowed. "Praise Jesus, he's cured," a monk yelled. Snow pulled the knife out of his jacket. He would eat his heart. The blade flickered with blue light as he drew it up to plunge into the chest of the young miracle healer. But Lobster Girl appeared. She stood between them like an Amazon warrior, ready to do battle. "Snow, you'll never harm my son!" She slashed the air, her claws snapping. "I'll carve you into a million pieces, you freak!" The carnage began. Slicing, ripping, tearing. A whirlwind of gore, a mass of bloody flesh. Lobster Girl and Snow tangled, a fight to the death, their spilled blood soaking the holy statues. She slammed her claws into Snow's chest. She tore out his heart and held the beating, pulsing mess up to his face. Snow's pink eyes flickered. He fell to his knees, all the while stabbing Lobster Girl. Lobster Girl was barely alive when she whispered,
"Run! My son! My light!"
Light screamed at the sight of his mother's butchered body. He couldn't untangle them, so he cradled them both, his touch healing. Snow's heart beat again, outside his body, and Lobster Girl's gaping wounds closed up. They were both alive, Snow only for a moment. Light dragged his mother out of the church. Her eyes opened. She was with her young Light, cradled in his arms. She smiled. They held claws.
"Everything is going to be okay."
I was on the next flight to Tijuana to have the surgery. I would be her savior. Oh God, my claws itched, throbbed with pain. The oxy, the Percocet, nothing masked the agony. I waited at the airport for hours. She never showed. I know she's probably with the kid, but she promised me a wedding of our souls. I went to the dungeon. The manager said,
She quit dancing. She's got a special needs kid now.
$100 bought me the name of her motel. Half a dozen guys milled around that hotel, their hands covered with bandages. There she was, breathtaking. I backed into a doorway and heard another guy say, "Okay, baby, I'll go to Mexico, have the operation. Our claws will make us one." She walked down the street with this bum, hand and claw. I ripped the dirty bandages off, felt the smooth, knife-like edges of my new claws. How could she? I licked the scabs off my new claws and follow the happy couple. Oh, the things I'll do for love. Destiny's a funny thing.
I feel the bile rise to my throat, its bitterness as harsh as the event I put that innocent young girl through so many years ago. I gag on the memory. God help me, we had no other choice. The memories, the nightmares of that horrific day are almost over now as I close in on my own mortality. Oh, dear God, forgive me. One drunken night with a respectable girl. Trust me, and I love you, I whispered several times from the back seat of my Impala that fateful night. Premarital sex in the 1940s and 50s was seldom talked about. Both of us were too embarrassed and afraid. I liked Carol Riley, but after I went all the way with her, it was hard for us to even look at each other. That's just the way it was back then. I avoided her for 5 months in theaters, in the places she frequented. In my mind, I was doing her a favor by staying away. She called one night and just said, "Harry," started crying. I hung up and died 1,000 deaths every time the phone rang, and rang, and rang. The voice of doom was on the other side of the receiver, so I buried the phone in a blanket, grateful that Carol Riley did not call when my parents were home. I got away like that for more than 3 weeks. Then one day I pulled up to my apartment and saw a crumpled figure on my steps. "Harry!" She fell into my arms. "Please, help me. Oh my God, Harry, I'm pregnant." "You sure it's mine?" I asked callously. It was a split second before she smacked me in the face. "You bastard," she screamed. "You're the only man I've ever been with." I didn't mean... I waltzed around the issue. "I just meant I haven't seen you for half a year. Why didn't you say something sooner?" "I thought I could hide it." "Oh, God, do you know what this will do to my family? My father will kill me if he ever finds out." "There are other alternatives," I said quietly. "I know some people who can get us the right doctor and fix this problem." "Can we fix it? My family wants me to go to nursing college," she sobbed. "Okay, try to relax. I'll pick you up tomorrow, and we'll take care of this. I promise." "Part of me thought I would fall into your arms," Carol said, crying, "and you would say, 'Let's get married.' How could I have been so stupid?" "I'm sorry," I said. I did care about you." Carol interrupted me. "You cared?" "Yeah, sure, you cared for all of one night. You told me you loved me. You told me to trust you, and I did, Harry." "Well, I meant it. But I didn't think anything would happen. Either did you, I guess. We just didn't, think. Look, Harry, just make this right." I picked her up the next day. I made a few calls, and friends told me about a couple of gypsy women that did abortions, but I wanted to go to a real doctor. Somebody told me about a Park Avenue doctor that did this type of thing, but it was not cheap. I borrowed from everyone I could think of. Carol was sitting in the car apathetically, accepting her fate like a guilty prisoner headed towards the guillotine. It was dusk when we stepped into Upper Crust office in Manhattan. Carol went into a brightly lit examining room. The doctor went in and examined Carol. She whimpered, and when he came out, he was wiping away sweaty beads trickling from his forehead. He tried to look me in the eyes, but couldn't. "Hot one today," he smiled. "Listen, you should have brought her months ago. I don't know if I can do this. An abortion at this stage is quite risky. She's well into her 6th month, and the fetus seemed quite healthy. Here's $500. I handed the doctor the envelope. "It's not the fee. I mean, even if you offered me more, I don't think I should. The risk is so great." "Well, Doc, I'm offering you more. Here's another 100. Balding doctor patted down a few wet strands of his hair and took off his thick wire-rimmed glasses. "Just remember, if anything goes wrong, you don't know me. You've never been to my office. We won't breathe a word. We'd get in trouble too." The doctor led us through a shadowy foyer and down a winding staircase. He pointed towards the door. "Wait in there. I'll be right back." Inside the brightly lit room was an antique examining table with bronze stirrups. The surrounding shelves were stacked with tongue depressors, bottled metal instruments, and various sized syringes. The doctor soon returned in full medical regalia, a crisp white coat and a shiny stethoscope. He quickly put on clear plastic gloves. I suddenly felt sick and grabbed the doctor's arm and pulled him to the side. "Doc," I said, "will this hurt her?" The doctor did not like being touched and quickly pulled away. "I'll try to minimize the pain, but I'm injecting the womb with a hormone called prostaglandin. It will cause her to go into premature labor. She'll push and expel the fetus and placenta, so there will be discomfort." I waited outside the room, sickened by what I had done to her. I couldn't help but think of the irony. I was pacing like an expectant father. About an hour later, the doctor opened the door. Carol lay on the metal table in a blood-smeared nightgown. She was heavily sedated with Demerol. A soft, drunken lullaby fell from her lips. "Sleep, my child, and peace attend thee all through the night." The doctor was shaken. He looked confused and shocked. "This has never happened before." He squirmed. "Sometimes I inject the fetus, but I never had one so late. At this stage, I never... You see, I don't like to endanger the mother. I just thought... This has never happened to me before. Look at it. Remarkable." "Doctor, what the hell are you talking about?" "Unbelievable." The doctor trembled. "The fetus, it's alive. A premature fetus cannot live through this procedure. Look at him." "Doctor." I turned away to avoid gazing at the creature cradled in the doctor's hand. "Do something, damn it, and do it now!" The doctor touched the baby's fingers and marveled at the delicate shape. What exactly do you propose we do?" "Get rid of it!" I screamed. "I can't do that," the doctor said. "Let's calm down and make a rational decision." I grabbed the wastebasket can and threw the garbage out of the bag. I held the bag open and tilted my head away. "Put it in there, now!" All right. The doctor placed the struggling fetus in the bag. The doctor put his hands up in surrender. "I don't know anything. Just get the hell out of here. She'll wake from that anesthesia in a half hour. Take her. Go!" I had to carry her to the car and put her in the back seat. I lay the bag next to me on the passenger seat. It moved and crackled as I sped down the avenue. My head was pounding and my stomach burned with a lava-like bile as the rain-glistened streets all started to look the same. I was looking for a dumpster, a familiar green dumpster. Finally, I found one. I stopped the car and took the bag out. I turned in all directions, and not seeing any signs of life, I tossed the bag into the city dumpster, where all of life's discardings, big and small, were swallowed up into the great unknown. I frantically jumped back in my car. Carol lay on my blood-stained upholstery. I kept thinking of her old man and how Catholic he was. She groggily came to. I told her everything had gone well and to get some rest. I dropped her at her doorstep. I never saw her again, nor could I ever forget that day. God sent me a reminder every night. The dream was always the same. Muffled cries coming from the dumpster, calling out to 100 hungry city rats. The horde of vermin descending cautiously towards the pulsating bag. The hungriest rats lunging first and ripping the bag, then all of them leaping in, fangs dripping wet, tearing at the virgin pink flesh, the innocent child screaming, "Help!" Then I'm awake. These dreams have haunted me since I was 18. They've eaten away at me. At 62, my heart has finally given out. I cannot endure another surgery. I will soon meet my maker. I pray my son is not waiting for me.
Deep down I'm afraid of you. I dare not speak your name. You've kept little girls awake, little boys crying in vain. But you can't hurt me if my dreams are shed. You can't hurt me when shadows are there. You can't hurt me. All the notes in my hand, please let me sleep. Go away.